makers of Campbell Soups present the Campbell Playhouse. Orson Welles, producer.
Good evening. This is Orson Welles. There are clearly a number of ways in which a Christmas carol could be introduced. When Charles Dickens presented this little story to the world almost 100 years ago, he found an instant response in the hearts of people everywhere who saw in it their favorite fictional chronicle of what Christmas is and what Christmas means to all the simple people of the earth. From the day of its first printing, families have been innumerable in which there has remained unbroken the tradition that the reading of a Christmas carol was an item indispensable to a proper observance of the most important of days. It is the American way, as we know, to establish traditions quickly, where popular instinct and sentiment pronounce them sound. There is, I think, in all America, nothing more eagerly awaited, more firmly rooted in the hearts of the radio family that numbers millions than this yearly performance of A Christmas Carol.
A Christmas Carol, as Charles Dickens wrote it, has, by common consent, long been a classic. And now, just before A Christmas Carol, Ernest Chappell has a special 1939 Christmas greeting from the makers of Campbell's Soups. Mr. Chappell?
Thank you. As the old year of 1939 draws toward its close, we of Campbell's feel a bond of warmth and gratitude toward each of you, our friends. For, you see, in homes everywhere throughout the land, Campbell's Soups have been welcomed. Day by day and week by week, you have placed confidence in us and in the foods we make. And there isn't anything we appreciate more deeply than the fact that so many of you have elected to let Campbell's make your soups for you. And so, when Christmas comes, we look about to find some way to show our appreciation, some Christmas present by which to say thank you. The gift we chose 5 Christmases ago and have chosen each year since has become a part of Christmas to many and many a family. It has become a Christmas custom, as Mr. Wells said, to gather round the radio to hear and to enjoy A Christmas Carol. And since it is Christmas Eve, we hope, too, that the younger members of the family are permitted to stay up and listen before dreams and visit of Santa. We get a great deal of pleasure planning and preparing this Christmas gift, and now it's ready.
Off come the wrappings. Off come the tags that say, "Please do not open till Christmas." Out comes the card, "To you, from Campbell's." And here is the gift itself.
Marley was dead, to begin with. There is no doubt whatever about that. The register of his burial was signed by the clergyman, the clerk, the undertaker, and the chief mourner. Scrooge signed it, and Scrooge's name was good upon change for anything he chose to put his hand to. Old Marley was as dead as a doornail. Scrooge knew he was dead? Of course he did. Scrooge and Marley were partners for I don't know how many years. Ah, but he was a tight-fisted hand at the grindstone, was Scrooge. A squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous old sinner. And once upon a time, of all the good days in the year, on Christmas Eve, old Scrooge sat busy in his counting-house, a grim, cheerless place if ever there was one. The door of Scrooge's counting-house was open, that he might keep an eye upon his clerk, Bob Cratchit, who in a cold and dismal little cell beyond worked at his ledgers.
19, 20, 21, 22. Merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay. 23, 26, 29. 9, carry the 2. Christmas Day. 17, 13, 17, 7.
Bob Cratchit!
Yes, Mr. Scrooge?
Stop that infernal caterwauling.
Yes, sir. 9, 15, 17.
Singing their idiotic Christmas carols at my very door. Go on! Get away from my door!
Aww!
Go somewhere else and bellow your blasted carols, or I'll give you.
Why, Governor, it's an old custom at Christmas time, you know.
Yes, and I don't want any of your old customs. Take your fellow fools and go away. Christmas. Blah!
Right, sir. Merry Christmas anyway, sir.
Ah! Now, you get that letter from Higgins and Blackthorn, Cratchit, and then I want you to finish posting this ledger. And after that, you can pop over to Parthagil's and tell Ephraim Parthagil you've come after the 17 shillings and 6 he's owed me since Michaelmas, and tell him I shall have a constable over there if he doesn't pay up at once.
Mr. Parthagil's wife, has been ill, sir.
Oh, what do I care about his wife? I want my 17 and 6.
I just thought it being Christmas, sir.
Christmas? Christmas? You mention that word to me once more, Bob Cratchit, and I...
A Merry Christmas, Uncle. A Merry Christmas, Bob.
Merry Christmas, Mr. Fred.
God save you, Uncle.
Bah! Humbug!
Christmas a humbug, Uncle. Now, I'm sure you don't mean that.
I mean just that. Exactly that. Merry Christmas. What right have you to be merry? What reason have you? You're poor enough.
Well, what right have you to be dismal about Christmas, Uncle? You're rich enough.
Yeah. Well, bah!
Now, Uncle, don't be cross.
Well, what else can I be when I live in such a world of fools? What's Christmas to you but a time for paying bills without money? Merry Christmas! A time for finding yourself a year older and not an hour richer. If I could work my will, every idiot who goes about with Merry Christmas on his lips would be boiled with his own pudding and buried with a stake of holly through his heart. He should.
Uncle!
Now, nephew, keep Christmas in your own way, and let me keep it in mine.
Keep it, but you don't keep it, Uncle.
Well, let me leave it alone, then. What do you want? A Christmas gift, I've no doubt.
I came to wish you a Merry Christmas, Uncle.
A Merry Christmas. Much good may Christmas do you. Ha ha! Much good it ever has done ya.
There are many things from which I derive good, by which I have not profited materially, I dare say, Uncle. Christmas among the rest. But I have always thought of Christmas time as a good time, a kind, forgiving, charitable, pleasant time, the only time I know of in the long calendar of the year, when men and women seem by one consent to open their shut-up hearts freely, and to think of people below them as if they really were fellow passengers to the grave, and not another race of creatures bound on other journeys. And therefore, Uncle, though it has never put a scrap of gold or silver in my pocket, I believe it has done me good, and will do me good, and I say, God bless it.
God bless Christmas! Hurrah!
Let me hear another sound out of you there, Bob Cratchit, and you'll keep your Christmas by losing your situation. As to you, nephew, I wonder you don't go into Parliament. You talk enough nonsense.
Oh, don't be angry, Uncle. I want nothing from you. I ask nothing of you. Why can't we be friends?
Good afternoon.
I'm sorry you feel that way. Well, I tried. A Merry Christmas to you, Uncle.
Good afternoon.
And a Happy New Year, too.
Bah! Humbug!
And a Merry Christmas to you, Bob, and the missus, and to Tiny Tim and all your good children.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Fred. Same to you, sir. Good day, sir.
Good day, Bob.
Nonsense. Twaddle. Flummery. Talking of Christmas, and not 2 sixpences to jingle together in his trousers pocket. Hey! Hey! You there, Bob Cratchit. Come here. What are you doing there?
I'm only putting a bit more coal in the fire, Mr. Scrooge, seeing it's so cold in here.
You
Sir.
put that coal back into the scuttle. A fire indeed. I can tell you, if you use coal at that rate, you and I will soon be parting company, Bob Cratchit. You understand that? There's many a young fella like your situation, you know.
I'm sorry, sir. My fingers were getting a little stiff with the cold.
Then put on your mittens. There's someone at the door. Go on, see who it is.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
This is the firm of Scrooge and Marley.
Yes, ma'am.
I should like to see the head of the firm, if I may.
Oh, very good, ma'am.
What is it?
A gentleman and 2 ladies to see you, Mr. Scrooge.
Huh?
Have I a pleasure of addressing Mr. Scrooge or Mr. Marley?
Marley's been dead these 7 years tonight. I'm Scrooge.
Well now, Mr. Scrooge, at this season of the year, it's only fitting that we who are more fortunate should raise a fund to buy the poor some meat and drink and means of warmth. You may not believe it, sir, but many thousands are now in want of common necessities.
And hundreds of thousands are in want of the simplest comforts.
Are there no prisons?
Well, there are plenty of prisons, sir.
And the workhouses? They're still in operation, I trust.
I wish I could say they are not, but they are, sir.
The treadmill and the poor law are in full vigor, then?
Both very busy, sir.
I'm glad to hear that. I was afraid, from what you said at first, that something had occurred to stop them in their useful course.
No, sir, all these institutions that you mentioned are flourishing, but it's nevertheless true that some additional provision for the poor and the destitute must be made.
A few of us upon change are endeavoring to raise such a fund, you see. And, what shall I put you down for?
Nothing.
Oh, I see. You wish to be anonymous, sir?
I wish to be left alone. I don't make merry myself at Christmas time, and I can't afford to help make a lot of idle people merry. I help to support the establishments that take care of the poor. They cost enough. Let those who are badly off go there.
Many can't go there, sir, and many would rather die.
Then my advice to them is to do so, and decrease the surplus population. Besides, I've only your word for it that all this is so.
It's the truth, Mr. Scrooge.
Well, so be it then. It's not my business. It's enough for a man to understand his own business and not to interfere with other people's. Mine occupies me constantly. Good afternoon.
I quite understand, Mr. Scrooge. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Scrooge.
Cratchit! Show these people out.
Yes, sir. This way, please. Say, I couldn't help by overhearing. I should like to contribute tuppence.
Cratchit!
Yes, sir. It isn't much, but it is all I can afford. But there are others in way worse situation than I.
You're a generous fellow. I wish I might say so of your employer.
Cratchit!
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Cratchit!
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Yes, sir.
Close the door.
Yes, sir. 24, 31, 1 carry to 3. A new scarlet tippet for Tiny Tim. A comb for Martha. 33, 3, and carry to 3. A hair ribbon for Belinda. 4, 7, 12, 15.
I suppose you'll want the entire day tomorrow.
If it's quite convenient, sir.
It's not convenient. And it's not fair either. But I suppose I can't do anything about it. If I was to stop half a crown of your wages, you'd think yourself very ill-used, I'll be bound.
Well, sir,
Yes, but you don't think me ill-used when I pay a day's wages for no work.
It's only once a year, sir.
Once a year indeed. A fine excuse for picking a man's pocket every 25th of December. But I suppose there's no good talking. You must have the whole day. Well, see that you're here all the earlier the next morning. You understand?
Oh, I will, sir. I will indeed. Good night, sir, and Merry Christmas.
Bah!
Merry Christmas!
Bah!
The office was closed in a twinkling, and Bob Cratchit, with the long ends of his white comforter dangling below his waist, for he boasted no greatcoat, went down a slide on Cornhill 20 times in honor of its being Christmas Eve, and then ran home to Camden Town as hard as he could pelt to play with his family at Blindman's Buff. Scrooge, on the other hand, took his melancholy dinner in his usual melancholy tavern, having read all the newspapers and spent the rest of his evening with his banker's book, went to his dismal house. Darkness is cheap, and Scrooge liked it. The yard was so dark that even Scrooge, who knew its every stone, had to grope with his hands through the fog and the frost to find the door. Scrooge walked through his rooms to see that all was right. Sitting room, lumber room, bedroom, all as they should be. Nobody under the table, nobody under the sofa, nobody under the bed, nobody in the closet. Closed the door. He locked himself in. He double-locked himself in, and took off his cravat, put on his dressing gown and slippers, and his nightcap, and sat down before the fire to take his gruel.
Marley. I could have sworn I saw old... Ah, humbug. Marley's been dead these 7 years. Humbug. All humbug. What I need is a good night's... What? What's that? Someone's in the wine cellar. But the door's locked and double locked. Something's coming. Something is coming closer. Outside my door. Bah! I won't believe it. It's humbug still.
Ebenezer Scrooge! Ebenezer Scrooge!
Marley! Oh, no. What do you want with me?
I want much of you, Ebenezer.
Who are you?
Ask me who I was.
Oh ho, you're very particular for a ghost. All right then, who were ya?
In life, I was your partner, Jacob Marley.
Jacob Marley? But you're dead. You died 7 years ago.
7 years ago this very night.
You are a ghost then.
What's wrong, Ebenezer? Don't you believe in me?
I do not.
You doubt your senses, Ebenezer?
Yes, because a little thing affects them. A slight disorder of the stomach makes them cheats. You can't be a ghost. You may be an undigested bit of beef, or a blot of mustard, or a crumb of cheese, a fragment of an underdone potato. There may be more gravy than grave about you, whatever you are. Ah, humbug, I tell ya. Humbug!
Ah!
I do believe in you. You are a ghost, Jacob.
Thank you.
But why? Why do you walk the earth, Jacob? Why do you come to me?
It is required of every man that the spirit within him should walk abroad among his fellowmen, and travel far and wide, to witness what it cannot share, but might have shared on earth, and turn to happiness.
But tell me, Jacob, what is that chain you wear around you?
I wear the chain I forged in life. I made it link by link, and yard by yard, by my own free will. Is its pattern strange to you, Ebenezer?
Cash boxes, keys and padlocks, ledgers and purses?
Yours was as heavy and as long as this 7 years ago. You have labored on it since, Ebenezer.
Old Jacob, speak comfort to me, Jacob.
Comfort I have none to give. I cannot rest. I cannot stay. I cannot linger. Weary journeys lie before me.
You travel fast?
Yes, Ebenezer, on the wings of the wind.
7 years dead and traveling all the time.
7 years, Ebenezer. 7 years of remorse. Ebenezer, do you know that no space of regret can make amends for one's life opportunities misused?
But you were always a good man of business, Jacob.
Business? Mankind was my business. Charity, mercy, benevolence, they were all my business. The dealings of my trade but were a drop of water in the comprehensive ocean of my business.
Jacob, don't take on so now. Jacob!
Listen to me, Ebenezer.
I'll listen to you, Jacob. Go on, Jacob, now. Speak to me, but don't be so flowery.
Ebenezer, I am here to warn you that you have yet a chance of hope of escaping my fate. Do you hear that, Ebenezer?
Yes, Jacob. Yes, you always were a good friend to me, Jacob. Thanks, Jacob. But go on. How shall I escape? Oh, I'm afraid, Jacob.
You will be haunted by 3 spirits.
Is that the only chance and hope, Jacob?
That is your only chance and hope.
Well, then I think I'd rather not.
Without their visits, You cannot hope to shun the path I tread. Expect the first tomorrow, when the bell tolls 1.
Couldn't I take 'em all at once and have it over, Jacob?
Ebenezer, look that for your own sake you remember what has passed between us. Remember when the bell tolls 1. Look for the first spirit.
Marley! Jacob Marley!
Scrooge awoke. He was lying on his bed, fully dressed. Suddenly, the curtains of his bed were drawn aside, and Scrooge found himself face to face with the unearthly visitor who drew them. As close to it as I am now to you, and I am standing in the spirit at your elbow. It was a strange figure, like a child, yet not so like a child as like an old man. Its hair, which hung about its neck and down its back, was white as if with age, and yet the face had not a wrinkle on it, and the tenderest bloom was on the skin. The arms were long and muscular, the hands the same, as if its hold were of uncommon strength.
Ebenezer Scrooge.
Who's that?
Ebenezer Scrooge, I have come for you.
Are you the spirit whose coming was foretold to me?
I am that spirit.
What are you?
I am the ghost of Christmas past.
Long past?
No, your past.
But what do you want of me? What brings you here to haunt me?
Your welfare, Ebenezer Scrooge. Rise and walk with me.
Oh, no. Not out the window. Why, I can't do that. I'll fall down. I'm not a spirit. I'm mortal, and I'll fall.
Bear but a touch of my hand upon your heart, and you shall be upheld in more than this. Come, follow me.
Where are we? What's become of the city? And there's snow upon the ground. Where are we?
These are the shadows of the things that have been. You recognize this countryside?
Oh, I know every inch of it. Every rock, every tree.
And that bleak building over there?
That building. I was a boy there. Yes, I went to school in that horrible place.
Do you recollect that path?
I could walk it blindfolded.
Strange you should have forgotten it so many years. Come, let us go closer. Look through the window into that cold, barren room. What do you see, Ebenezer Scrooge?
I see a boy.
A solitary child, neglected by his family, alone.
Yes, I see. I know that boy. Oh, I was so lonely. Poor boy.
Your lip is trembling, Scrooge. And what is that on your cheek?
It's nothing. Nothing at all. I wish it's too late now.
What's the matter?
Nothing. The children came to my door singing Christmas carols last night, and there was a boy like that among 'em. A poor, pale, thin little boy in a ragged coat. I should like to have given him something. That's all.
Is that all? Come, Ebenezer Scrooge, let us see another Christmas. Do you know this place, Ebenezer Scrooge?
Know it? This is the counting house where I was first apprenticed. And it's my old master. Bless his heart, old Fezziwig. My master, alive again. And hosting one of his Christmas parties.
Yo-ho! There! Ebenezer! Dick! Yo-ho, my boys! No more work tonight. It's Christmas Eve, Ebenezer. Let's have the shutters up before a man can say Jack Robinson. Yo-ho! Folks, come on! Pick your partners.
Listen to him.
Corkscrew! Thread the needle and back to your places. Mrs. Fezziwig, would you care to join me?
And there's Dick Wilkins.
All right, now spin your partners round and
Dick.
round.
Dear.
All right, now step to
Yes,
the right.
and look, there's
Step to the
Mrs.
left.
Fezziwig herself. looking younger than any of them.
All right,
And
that's
the
it.
tables all loaded with roasts and cider, mince pie and beer. Oh, what a jolly time we used to have.
That carefree young man with the light heart and the gay smile. Do you recognize him?
Yes, yes, yes. Merciful heaven, how happy I was then.
A small matter for old Fezziwig to make those silly folks so full of joy.
Small matter. Small indeed.
Isn't it? He spent only a few pounds of your mortal money. Is that so much so that he deserves praise?
It's not that, Spirit. Old Fezziwig has the power to make us happy or unhappy, to make our service light or heavy. His power lies in words and looks, and in things so tiny that it's impossible to count them up. The happiness he gives is quite as great as if it cost
What is the matter?
Oh, nothing. Nothing at all, Spirit.
Something, I think.
No, no.
Speak.
Well, only. It's just that I should like to be able to say a word or two to my clerk, Bob Cratchit. That's all.
My time grows short, and we have yet another journey to make.
Where now?
Come. This is our last visit to the past, Ebenezer. Here, in this little room, with a fair young girl by your side. Do you recognize yourself, Ebenezer?
No, 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 no! Spare me this!
You're older now, a man in the prime of life. Your face has begun to wear the signs of care and avarice. Your eyes are greedy, the eager, restless eyes of a miser.
No! No, please!
She knows it too, that girl by your side. There are tears in her eyes.
It matters little to you. Very little. I know that. Another idol has displaced me. And if it can cheer and comfort you in time, as I would have tried to do, I have no just cause to grieve.
What idol has displaced you?
A golden one.
This is the even-handed dealing of the world. There is nothing on which it is so hard as poverty, and there is nothing it professes to condemn with such severity as the pursuit of wealth.
When we were engaged, we were both poor.
Well, was it better then? Better to be poor.
Better, at least, to be happy. You're changed. You were another man then. You fear the world too much. All your other hopes have merged into the hope of being beyond the chance of its sordid reproach. I have seen your nobler aspirations fall off one by one until the master passion gain engrosses you. Have I not?
I was a boy. You blame me because I've grown wiser? I'm not chained towards you. Have I ever tried to break our engagement?
In words, no, never.
In what then?
Changed nature, in an altered spirit, in everything that made my love of any value in your sight. So I release you from your promise.
Belle!
Oh, at first it may cause you pain to lose me, a very brief pain, but soon it will be dim, like a half-remembered dream, an unprofitable dream. I will be glad to be awake from such a dream. May you be happy in the life you have chosen, Ebenezer, for the love of whom you once loved.
That's enough! Show me no more! Take me home!
These were signs of the things that have been, that they are what they are. Do not blame me.
No, no more, no more!
One shadow more. Come. Do you see this man, Ebenezer Scrooge? This man might have been you, and the woman beside him, your wife. And that girl might have been your daughter, Ebenezer Scrooge. She might have called you father. She might have been a springtime in the haggard winter of your life.
Spirit, let me go. Show me no more.
Listen now while they speak. Ebenezer.
Belle, I saw an old friend of yours today.
Oh, who was it?
Guess.
How can I Oh, I know, Mr. Scrooge.
Mr. Scrooge it was. I passed his office window. It wasn't shuttered, and there was a candle inside, so I couldn't help seeing him. His partner Marley lies at the point of death, I hear, and there Scrooge sat, all alone, Quite alone in the world, I do believe.
Spirit, I can't bear any more. Leave me. Haunt me no more. Take me back. Take me back.
You are listening to the Campbell Playhouse, bringing you tonight the 5th annual presentation of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, produced by Orson Welles. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
This is the WBBM Air Theater, Wrigley Building, Chicago.
And now back to the Campbell Playhouse and our 5th annual presentation of A Christmas Carol, a Christmas present from the makers of Campbell Soups. On the stroke of 2, Scrooge awakened suddenly and sat bolt upright in his own bed. He then remembered the words of Marley's ghost and wondered from which direction the second specter would appear. At that moment, nothing between a baby and a rhinoceros would have astonished him very much. Now, being prepared for almost anything, he was not by any means prepared for nothing, and consequently, when no shape appeared, he was taken with a violent fit of trembling. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, a quarter of an hour went by, yet nothing came. Then as he sat in his bed, he became aware gradually of a great blaze of ruddy light, which seemed to shine upon him from the adjoining room. He got up softly and shuffled in his slippers to the door. It was his own sitting room, no doubt about that, but it had undergone a surprising transformation. The walls and ceiling were so hung with living green that it looked like a perfect grove, from every part of which bright gleaming berries glistened, and such a mighty blaze went roaring up the chimney as had never been known in Scrooge's time, or for many and many a winter season gone. Heaped up on the floor, to form some kind of throne, were turkeys, geese, game, poultry, great joints of meat, suckling pigs, long wreaths of sausages, mince pies, plum puddings, barrels of oysters, red-hot chestnuts, and seething bowls of punch that made the chamber dim with their delicious steam. In easy state upon this couch there sat a jolly giant, glorious to see, who bore a glowing torch in shape not unlike Plenty's horn, and held it up, high up, to shed its light on Scrooge as he came peeping round the door.
Come in, Ebenezer Scrooge, and know me better, man.
Who?
I am the ghost of Christmas present. Look upon me. You've never seen the like of me before.
You're different from the other spirit. You are tall, almost a giant, and that great torch you carry.
Its light pours into the homes of rich and poor alike.
Spirit, take me where you will. Last time I went against my will, and learned a lesson which is working now. If you have anything to teach me, let me profit by it.
Touch my robe, Ebenezer Scrooge. Touch my robe.
Where have you brought me, Spirit?
A humble dwelling in a humble street.
It's miserable enough.
Yet there is happiness here.
Who are those people? Who's that woman? And the children?
These are the family of your clerk, Bob Cratchit, his wife, dressed in a twice-turned gown, but braven ribbons, laying the table for their Christmas dinner, and there assisting her is her daughter Belinda, and the young man with the fork and the stuffing, that's Master Peter Cratchit, and the 2 little Cratchits. Listen, Scrooge.
What has ever got your precious father, then? And your brother, Tiny Tim? And Martha weren't as late last Christmas Day by half an hour.
Here's Martha, Mother.
There's such a goose, Martha.
Why, bless your heart alive, my dear. How late you are.
We'd a deal of work to finish up last night, and had to clear away this morning, Mother.
Well, never mind, so long as you are. Come sit ye down before the fire, my dear. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas, Mother.
Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas!
How late you are, my dear.
Where's Father?
He's been to church with Tiny Tim. They'll be along directly.
How is Tiny Tim, Mother? Any better at all?
Sometimes I think he is, and sometimes I think, oh, dear God, if anything should happen to Tiny Tim...
Mother! You mustn't even think of such a thing.
No, there's Father coming.
Hide, Martha, hide!
Here they are.
There's Tiny Tim.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Why, where's Martha?
Oh, Father, she's not coming.
Not coming? Not coming?
Here I am. Oh, Merry Christmas, Father, and Tim.
Oh, Martha. Welcome, my dear.
Merry Christmas, Martha. Oh, Tim, you darling. Oh, Father, I'm so glad to be home.
And we're so glad to have you, Martha.
And how did little Tim behave in church, Bob?
Oh, as good as gold, and better.
I like church, Mother. Oh, they sang the nicest songs. I hope people saw me there.
Saw you there? And why, Tim?
Well, don't you see? Because I'm lame, and if they saw my crutch, it might be pleasant for them to remember on Christmas who it was made lame beggars walk and blind men see.
Oh, bless you, my son.
Mother, I'm so hungry.
Yes, children, we're all ready. Come take your places now. And Bob, wait your turn. There's plenty. Stuffing and dressing and plum pudding for all of you. Martha, you take care of Tiny Tim.
Yes, Mother.
You see that he eats plenty. He must get tall and well. Now sit down. Sit down, everyone.
Ah, now, my dears. Shall we say grace?
Spirit, tell me if Tiny Tim will live.
I see a vacant seat in the pole chimney corner, and a crutch without an owner, carefully preserved.
Oh, no, kind spirit. Say he'll be spared. Say he'll live.
If these shadows remain unaltered by the future, Ebenezer, the child will die.
Amen.
Amen.
And now, my dears, with such a dinner, a toast. A Merry Christmas to us all, and God bless us.
Amen.
God bless us, everyone.
Aww. And now to Mr. Scrooge.
No, not Mr. Scrooge.
I give you a toast to Mr. Scrooge, the founder of the feast.
Ha! The founder of the feast, indeed, who pays you all of 15 shillings a week. I wish I had him here. I'd give him a piece of my mind to feast on, and I hope he'd have a good appetite for it.
Oh, my dear, the children, Christmas Day.
Well, it should be Christmas Day, I'm sure, on which one drinks to the health of such an odious, stingy, unfeeling man as Mr. Scrooge. You know he is, Bob. Nobody knows it better than you, poor fellow.
My dear, Christmas Day.
I'll drink his health for your sake and the day's, not for his. Long life to him. A Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. He'll be very merry and very happy, I have no doubt.
And I say God bless him too, Mother, and everyone.
Yes, God bless everyone.
God bless him.
There was nothing of high mark in all of this. They were not a handsome family, these Cratchits. They were not well dressed, their shoes were far from being waterproof. Their clothes were scanty, and had known, very likely, the insides of a pawnbroker's. But they were happy, grateful, pleased with one another, and contented with the time. When at last they faded, Scrooge had his eye upon them, and especially upon Tiny Tim, until the last. Many calls Scrooge made that night with the ghost of Christmas present. Down among the miners they went, who labor in the bowels of the earth, and out to sea among the sailors at their watch, dark, ghostly figures in their several stations. Much they saw, and far they went, and many places they visited, but always with a happy end. The spirit stood beside sick beds, and they were cheerful, on foreign lands, and they were close at home, by poverty, and it was rich. An almshouse, hospital, and jail, where vain man and his little brief authority had not made fast the door, and barred the spirit out, the spirit left his blessing. It was a long night, if it was only a night, and it was strange, too, that while Scrooge remained unaltered in his outward form, the ghost grew older, clearly older.
My life upon this globe is very brief, Ebenezer. It ends tonight.
Tonight?
Tonight at midnight. Hark, the hour is near.
Oh, no, not yet. There are still more things I wish to learn.
These you will learn from still another spirit. Still another spirit, Ebenezer.
Scrooge looked about him for the ghost. It had vanished, and he found himself once more in his bed, in his dressing gown and his nightcap on his head. He heard the clock strike, and then he remembered the prediction of old Jacob Marley, and lifting up his eyes, beheld the third spirit. A solemn phantom, shrouded in black, draped and hooded, coming towards him slowly and silently, like a mist along the ground.
I know you. You are the ghost of Christmas yet to come. You will show me the shadows of things that have not happened, but will happen in the time before us. Answer me, spirit, ghost of the future. I fear you more than any specter I've seen, yet I know your purpose is to do me good. And as I hope to live to be another man from what I was now, lead on, lead on. The night's waning fast, and time's precious. Spirit, why have you brought me here again? Here to Bob Cratchit's home? But it's not the same. What? Why is it so quiet? So very quiet here.
Mother, please.
Oh, my son, my little son, Tiny Tim. I loved him so.
Oh, Mother dear, you mustn't. It's almost time for Father to be home. Don't let him see you crying.
Yes, Martha.
He's late tonight.
He walks slower than he used to. And yet I've known him to walk very fast indeed with Tiny Tim on his shoulder.
So have I, Mother.
But he was light to carry, and his father loved him so that it was no trouble. No trouble. Bob.
Good evening, my dear.
You're late, Bob.
Yes, I'm sorry, my dear. I went to the churchyard today. I wish you could have gone with me. It would have done your heart good to see how sweet and green a place it was. But you'll see it often. I promised him. I promised Tiny Tim we'd walk there on a Sunday.
Father, dear. It's God's will, Bob.
I'm trying to understand it, my dear. My son, my little son, Tiny Tim. And I loved him so.
Oh, that's cruel. Cruel. Spirit, can't you give me one ray of hope that I may change all that? That Tiny Tim may live? Where are you taking me now? Here? On a common street, Spirit? What is there for me to learn here? Who are those people?
I don't know much about it. Either way, I only know he's dead.
When did he die?
Last night, I believe.
It's likely to be a very cheap funeral, for upon my life, I don't know anybody to go to it. Suppose we make up a party and volunteer. I don't mind going, if a luncheon is provided.
Come to think of it, I'll bet I was his best friend.
What?
We used to nod to each other when we met in the street.
They left the busy scene and went into an obscure part of the town, where Scrooge had never penetrated before, although he recognized its situation and its bad repute. Far in this den of infamous resort, there was a low-browed, beetling shop below a penthouse roof, where iron, old rags, bottles, bones, and greasy offal were brought. Sitting in among the wares she dealt in was a gray-haired rascal named Josephine, nearly 70 years of age. Scrooge and the Phantom came into the presence of this woman, just as a charwoman with a heavy bundle slunk into the shop.
You couldn't have met in a better place. Come into the parlor. What odds and ends, then? What odds, Mrs. Dilber? Every person has a right to take care of themselves. He always did.
That's true. Indeed, no man more so.
Why, then? Don't stand staring as if you was afraid, woman. Who's the wiser? We're not going to pick holes in each other's coats, I suppose.
No, we should hope not.
Very well, then. That's enough. Who's the worse for the loss of a few things like these? Not a dead man, I suppose.
No, indeed. If he wanted to keep him after he was dead, a wicked old shrew, why wasn't he natural in his lifetime? If he'd had been, he'd had somebody to look after him when he was struck with death. instead of lying, gasping his last there alone by himself.
It's the truest word that ever was spoke. It's a judgment on him.
I wish it was a little heavier judgment, and it should have been, if I could have laid my hands on anything else. Open that bundle, old Josephine, and let me know the value of it. It's no sin.
What do you call this? Bed curtains?
Bed curtains.
You don't mean to say you took 'em down, rings and all, with him lying there?
Yes, I do. Why not?
You were born to make your fortune.
Don't drop that oil upon the blankets now.
His blankets?
Who else do you think? He isn't likely to take cold without him, I dare say.
I hope he didn't die of anything catching, eh?
Don't you be afraid of that. I ain't so fond of his company that I loiter about him for such things. And if he did, ha! You may look through that shirt till your eyes ache, but you won't find a hole in it, nor a threadbare. It's the best he had, and a fine one, too. They've had wasted it, it hadn't been for me.
What do you call wasting of it?
Putting it on him to be buried in, to be sure. Somebody was fool enough to do it, but I took it off again. If calico ain't good enough for such a purpose, it isn't good enough for anything.
Here's your money, and I wouldn't give another 6 pence if I was to be boiled for not doing it. If you asked me for another penny and made an open question, I'd repent of being so liberal and knock off half a crown.
This is the end of it, you see. He frightened everyone away from him when he was alive to profit us when he was dead.
Spirit, help me. Who is this man that died? Is there no one to mourn the poor creature? No one to follow him to the grave? Perhaps they'll give him a green grave at least, like poor Tiny Tim. Perhaps... Spirit, where are we now? Merciful heaven, a churchyard, overrun by grass and weeds, choked with too much burying. Desolate, lonely, crumbling gravestones. Spirit, before I draw nearer to that gravestone, answer me one question. Are these the shadows of things that will be, or are they shadows of things that may be only? Huh? Will you not speak to me, Spirit? What is that grave to which you point? Now I see it. There's writing on that stone. The name on the gravestone is Ebenezer Scrooge? Ebenezer Scrooge? Oh, no, Spirit. No. Hear me. I'm not the man I was. Why show me this if I am past all hope? Tell me that I can change these dreadful shadows you've shown me by an altered life. I'll honor Christmas in my heart. I'll try to keep it all the year. I'll live in the past, the present, and the future, and I'll not shut out the lessons they teach. Tell me, Spirit, oh God, tell me. Tell me that I can sponge away the writing on that stone, Spirit. I beg you, Spirit. I beg you. Spirit, I promise on my knees. I promise. Why, what's this? It's my own drape. Oh, I'm home. In my own bed. In my own room. And the sun's shining. It's clear. It's bright. No fog. What a beautiful day. Oh, glorious, glorious. Hey, boy. Oh, boy.
Yes, sir.
What's today?
What's that, sir?
What day is it, my fine fellow?
Today? Why, it's Christmas Day.
Ha ha! Christmas Day. Then I haven't missed it. The spirits have done it all in one night. All in one night, heaven be praised.
How's that, sir?
Listen, my lad, do you know where the poulterer is? In the next street.
I should say I do.
An intelligent boy. A remarkable boy. Tell me, do you know if they sold the prize turkey that was hanging in the window?
The one as big as me?
What a delightful boy. It's a pleasure to talk to ye. Yes, my buck.
It's hanging there now, sir.
That's wonderful. Go down, will ya? And tell him to send it to Bob Cratchit and his family on Broad Street. And mind you, they're not to know who paid for it. Here. Now go along. Hurry, my lad. Wait a minute. Here's half a crown for your trouble.
Yes, sir. And a Merry Christmas, sir.
Ha ha! And a Merry Christmas to you, my boy. Oh, I don't know what to do. I'm as light as a feather, as happy as an angel. I'm as merry as a schoolboy. A Merry Christmas! A Merry Christmas to everybody! A Happy New Year to all the world! Woo! Woo! Hello! Oh, my dear sir, how do you do?
I beg your pardon?
Well, you, sir. Aren't you one of the people who came to my office in regards to that charity?
Why, yes, sir.
A Merry Christmas to you.
Yes, sir.
Allow me to ask your pardon, sir. And will you have the goodness to accept? I prefer to whisper this.
What? But Lord bless me, my dear Mr. Scrooge, are you serious?
If you please. Now, not a farthing less. A great many back payments are included in it, I assure you. Will you do me that honor?
Well, my dear sir, I don't know what to say to such munificence.
Now, don't say anything, please. Come and see me. Will you? Will you come and see me?
I will indeed.
Ha ha! Thank ye. I am much obliged to you. I thank you 50 times. Bless you. Merry Christmas.
Next morning, Scrooge was early at his office. He went early for a reason. If he could only be there first and catch Bob Cratchit coming late. That was the thing he'd set his heart upon. And he did it. Yes, he did it. The clock struck 9 and no Bob. A quarter past? No Bob. Scrooge sat with his door wide open that he might see him come in. At last he came. His hat was off. Before he opened the door, his comforter too. He was on his stool in a jiffy, driving away with his pen, and if he were trying to overtake 9 o'clock.
15 and 21, 6 and carry the 1, 24 and carry the 2, 31 and 8 and 9.
Hello, you Cratchit.
Yes, sir?
Step this way, Cratchit, if you please. Cratchit, what do you mean by coming in at this time of day?
Why, I'm very sorry, sir. I'm behind my time.
You are. Yes, I think you are.
Oh, it's only once a year, Mr. Scrooge. It shall not be repeated. I was making rather merry yesterday, sir.
I'll tell you what, my friend. I'll not stand this sort of thing any longer. And therefore, Bob Cratchit, I'm about to raise your salary.
Mr. Scrooge? Are you quite yourself, sir?
No, thank heaven I'm not quite myself. Merry Christmas, Bob. Merry Christmas, my good fellow. A merrier Christmas than I've given you in many a year. I shall raise your salary, and we'll see what we can do for Tiny Tim and the rest of your family, huh? We'll discuss it this very afternoon over a Christmas bowl of smoking bishop. Bob, make up the fire. Make it up, and buy another coal scuttle before you dot another I, Bob Cratchit.
Scrooge was better than his word. He did it all, and infinitely more. To Tiny Tim, who did not die, he was a second father. He became as good a friend, as good a master, and as good a man as the good old city knew, or any other good old city, town, or borough in the good old world. Some people laughed to see the alteration in him, but he let them laugh and little heeded them. His own heart laughed. That was quite enough for him. He had no further intercourse with the spirits, but he lived upon the total abstinence principle ever afterwards. And it was always said of him that he knew how to keep Christmas well, if any man alive possessed the knowledge. May that be truly said of us, of all of us. And so, as Tiny Tim observed,
God bless us everyone.
You have just heard our annual presentation of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, brought to you by the makers of Campbell's Soups.
A very Merry Christmas. And from John and Garret Altenburgh, sound engineers extraordinaire, plus the able assistance of Lynn Riska, Jody Hedinga, Robert Perkins, and Glenn Peters.
A Merry Christmas, and from Orson Welles and his considerable aggregation of dramatic talents, along with the following East End players: Colton Lemansky as Scrooge, Thomas Uding as Bob Cratchit, Catherine Rauscher as Mrs. Cratchit, Alex Benson as Jacob Marley, Robin Anderson as the Ghost of Christmas Past, Henry Held as the Ghost of Christmas Present, May Son as Mrs. Dilber, Emma Sullivan and Eva Schmelzer as the narrators, Katie Perkins as Belle, Garrison Stockwell as Fred, Lillian Casey as Tiny Tim, Ben Minarski as the Gentleman, Chloe Meyer as Martha, Evian von Pochty as Fezziwig and Young Scrooge, Laura Dodd as Josephine, Taya Shufflebine as the Young Child and Belinda, Gideon Galetka as Ernest Chappell, Sylvia Wright as the Young Boy, Terrence Riska as Orson Welles, and yours truly, Braley Weiss, as your announcer. We all wish you a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas!
That's right. And now, as Tiny Tim says,
God bless us, everyone.
The makers of Campbell's Soups join Orson Welles in inviting you to be with us in the Campbell Playhouse again next Sunday evening, when we bring you Edna Ferber's Come and Get It with Miss Frances D as our guest. Meanwhile, if you have enjoyed our 5th annual presentation of A Christmas Carol, won't you tell your grocer so this week when you order Campbell's Soups? This is Ernest Chappell saying thank you and a very Merry Christmas to you all.